Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Well, we're back. You know, our new talent sitting in the chair next to me, we have given him a nickname already, K2. You know, there's a mountain in the Himalayas called K2. It's the second highest in the range. The reason we call him K2 is his real name is Kian Simone. And Kian, the very first Kian I had ever heard of was Kian Bexty, who worked with us in Calgary. I'd never heard the name Kian before in my life. Now you've joined us in Calgary, and your name is Kian, and it's almost too much of a coincidence.
It's certainly odd.
Listen, we can call you Kian, we can call you K2. It's great to have you. How did you come to the Rebel? You just joined us in the last 2 weeks. Actually, your very first week on the job, you were sort of thrown right in the deep end, weren't you?
Yeah, that was one of the craziest weeks of my life. About a year ago, my dad actually said, "Hey, there's another Kian, and he's doing news." I was like, "Oh, that's weird." So I became a fan actually through Kian.
Huh.
And he's actually a big inspiration to me to,
Kian
get in
to
people's
Kian.
faces.
You know what? From one Kian to the other, keep it spreading. In your first week on the job, and I think your title is technically intern. Am I right?
Yeah.
So that sounds like a humble title, a modest title, a ground floor, first rung on the ladder title. But in your very first week, you were thrust into the largest story in Canada, the arrest and imprisonment of Pastor Arthur Pawlowski.
Yeah, I don't feel like an intern after that first
Yeah,
week.
well, I don't think you are.
Yeah.
You did something, and we kept it secret at the time, but I think you can reveal it now. We didn't know when the police would strike. So you literally slept at the church in case they did a morning raid.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was weird.
That's a heck of a stakeout.
Yeah, I woke up like every hour not knowing what was to expect.
Yeah. Well, and that's a little bit dramatic, but in the Grace Life Church, police did a dawn raid to lock the place down. So I had this premonition that they were going to do the same thing. They didn't have that dawn raid, but I'm really glad you were there just in case. Sometimes journalism is about waiting for something to happen.
No, I'm glad that you were wrong about that, though. No news is good news in that case.
Yeah, well, I mean, we even talked about what would happen if the police came into the church and found you there and how that would go down legally. That wasn't the only excitement, because a couple days later, when Pastor Arthur Pawlowski was set to be released from the Calgary Remand Center, their maximum security holding jail, the judge, Justice Germain, sent the order to the jail saying release him, and the jail guards wouldn't. They were arguing with the judge. Oh, we need two orders, one for each brother. There's Pastor Arthur, this is Brother David. I've never seen guards fight a judge saying, no, we're not doing it. Like, it was bizarre. You were standing outside the jail waiting, and a couple of guys in uniform came out and started telling you that you had to leave. Tell me about that. You called me on the phone, but I couldn't see what was happening. I could only hear it from the phone. You were there, obviously. What went down there?
Well, the first guy that came out, he was extremely nice, and I said I'm with Rebel News. And he said, okay, well, let me go speak to my boss, because I said, I'm not going to film until Arthur comes out. I don't care what you guys are doing here.
Yeah.
Maybe just get some B-roll, but if I don't get that, fine. I'll respect that.
Yeah.
And his boss came out, and he said, oh, you're with Rebel News? I love Ezra.
Oh my God, One, I've been so mean to them.
My dad's been such a great fan of his, but I have to ask you to leave. And then that's when you were still on the phone.
Oh,
said,
and I got
not
so
leave.
mad, I swore.
Yeah.
I swore, because my point of view is that we have a right to be on public property filming matters of public interest. And just because someone in a uniform says leave or turn off your camera doesn't mean you have to do it. In fact, we have a right to report. And the thing is, this is your first week on the job.
Yeah.
Someone in a uniform at a jail is saying leave or you're in trouble. I don't know. Maybe you're going to wind up in jail. Maybe he's
already there.
Yeah. So for you, and like, if you didn't quit after being on the nighttime stakeout and being threatened by some uniformed folks at a jail, I know you've got what it takes to be a rebel. And I did not expect that to happen in the first week to an intern.
Yeah, it's honestly the best job in the world.
Well, that's great. I think you're doing great. Every day I can see you're getting stronger. It's quite something, and the timing was fortuitous that you were there for the biggest story in Canada, I think. And great work. And I remember I was hollering at you, don't leave, don't do it, you tell him. Oh my God, I was stressed for you, because I thought, who has the courage to stand up to an armed guard?
Well, the next guy that came out with the acting director, he was a lot more lenient on getting me to leave. And he was more mean about it. And then that's when, the first guy I was nice and he was nice, so it was just more of like
But
a
the
weird,
acting director was the
casual
tough guy. Eh?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you held the line. That's part of being a rebel reporter. If you're a CBC reporter, a Toronto Star reporter, you're not asking tough questions at all, so no one's really miffed, and you certainly don't speak truth to power. So, the CBC is really never asked to leave anywhere important because they're just their stenographers. Rebel reporters get asked to leave all the time because when we show up, we're shining a light of public scrutiny, typically on someone who doesn't want that light. So I hate to say it, Kian, but you are going to get other people telling you to leave, and it's going to be a test of your courage every time. Keep the camera rolling. Do not leave unless they prove they have lawful authority for you to leave, and then only do so reluctantly. If you are on private property and if the owner asks you to leave, you do have to leave. But public property, a public interest story, I'm so glad you held the line. What a first week.
I have no fear, Ezra.
All right, well, great to have you here. That's Kian Simone, or K2, as we call him. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.